Okay, here I would like to explain about the setting of time and also setting of place. For the first is setting of time of a novella, A Christmas Carol. The setting of time of this novella is on Christmas Eve. So what is Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve is the term of the night of the celebration of Christmas. But unfortunately, the author didn't give us the detail of the year or era about this novella. It is just written there as Once Upon a Time, as said in the Steve one, Once Upon a Time of all the good days in the year on Christmas Eve. Okay, the next setting is setting of place. The general setting of place in this novella is on London. Actually, there is no explanation about the details of which city the author is referring to, but some location names are only exist in London, such as Cornhill and also Camden Town. There are also some detailed places such as Scrooge Counting House, Cornhill, and Scrooge's home. Here, for the Scrooge's Counting House is proved by the part of text. Old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house, and for Cornhill, went down a slide on Cornhill at the end of a lane of boys, and Scrooge's home, and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed. Okay, the next setting of place is Scrooge's childhood country, with each proved in the part of text said they passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road with fields on either hand. And the next is Scrooge's school. The, the school is not quite deserted, said the ghost. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still. The next is baker's shop, and the part of text said for he stood with Scrooge beside him in a baker's doorway, and taking off the covers of as their bearers passed. And the next is Bob Cratchit's home, which is said on the text, and on the threshold of the door the spirit smiled, and stopped to bless Bob Cratchit's dwelling with the sprinkling of his torch. Okay, the next setting of place is a bleak and desert moor. The part of text said, they stood upon a bleak and desert moor where monstrous masses of root stone were cast about. And the next is a lighthouse, said in the text, on which the waters chafed and dashed the wild year through. There stood a solitary lighthouse. And the next is a ship. The text said, until, being far away, as he told Scrooge, from any shore, they lighted on a ship. They stood beside the helmsman at the wheel. And the next is Fred's house, said in the text. It was a much greater surprise to Scrooge to recognize it as his own nephew's and to find himself in a bright, dry, gleaming room. And then the next slide for setting of place. The first place is heart of city. Said in the text, they scarcely seemed to enter the city, for the city rather seemed to spring up about them and encompass them of its own act, but there they were in the heart of it. And then a beetling shop. The text said, far in this den of infamous resort, there was a low-browed beetling shop below a penthouse roof. And the last detail setting place is a churchyard. The text said, he paused to look around before entering a churchyard. Here then, here then, the wretched man whose name he had now to learn lay underneath the ground. That's all for setting time and also setting of place. We'll continue about the setting of environment.
Okay, here I want to explain about the setting of environment. So, in this story, the gap between the poor and the rich is very clear. Many people live on the street with hungry and cold. Actually, we don't really sure the time of this story taken place, but the writer wrote the story at the 19th century. So many people believe that the setting of time of the story is at 19th century. And at the 19th century, there is a revolutionary industry. So many people become unemployed and then they become poor. And so many people become homeless and the hunger happens everywhere. And he could hear the people in the court outside go whizzing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. Jadi dikarenakan banyak orang miskin yang tidak mempunyai rumah, mereka menggunakan segala cara untuk membuat mereka tetap hangat, seperti beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. But at the story, the wealthy people live in a luxurious house with a fire on to keep their body warm, and they never get hungry. Okay, next, I want to explain about the setting of the atmosphere. The first atmosphere is sad. So the evidence why I choose the sad atmosphere is at the page 84 in the paragraph 1. So, am I the man who lay up on the bed? He cried upon his knees. The finger pointed from the grave to him, and back again. No, spirit, oh no, no. The finger still was there. Jadi cerita ini itu terjadi setelah Scrooge bertemu dengan hantu ketiga. Jadi saat berkeliling dengan hantu ketiga, Scrooge tidak percaya bahwa dirinya itu yang ada berada di kasur dalam keadaan meninggal tersebut. Dan dia juga tidak percaya bahwa saat kematiannya tidak banyak orang yang datang untuk mengunjunginya. Karena saat bertemu dengan hantu ke-1 dan hantu kedua, Scrooge ditunjukkan tentang bagaimana kehidupannya di masa lalu dan why so many people hate him. Because dirinya adalah orang yang sangat pelit and also crazy for wealth and has no affection to others. So that's why there is no people at his funeral. And the next atmosphere is the happy atmosphere. The evidence of the happy atmosphere is at page 85 and the last paragraph. It says that I am as light as a feather, I'm happy as an angel, I'm as merry as a schoolboy, I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everybody, a Happy New Year to all of the world. Hello here, hoo hoo, hello. That's the sentence of the last paragraph. And the story happened when the Scrooge meeting after he met the three ghosts. Scrooge realized that he also need others people, and he also realized that the love of others was not as bad as he thought, even though in the past his love didn't run smoothly. Dan akhirnya Scrooge mulai bersosialisasi setelah dia disadarkan oleh ketiga hantu tersebut bahwa cara hidupnya selama ini itu salah. Setelah bertemu dengan ketiga hantu tersebut, Scrooge mulai bersosialisasi dan juga dia mulai berbuat baik kepada banyak orang. Dia berpikir agar nantinya saat dia meninggal dia mempunyai seseorang di sisinya. And dia juga berubah menjadi orang yang sangat dermawan. Dia suka berbagi dengan orang lain, dan juga dia tidak pernah marah-marah lagi kepada orang lain. Dia mulai memperbaiki hubungannya dengan keponakannya, dengan pegawainya, dengan anak-anak miskin, dan lain sebagainya. So that's all for my explanation about the setting of environment and the setting of the atmosphere.